closed and handed it back. "Ha! Can you imagine what it must have been like on that boat, Chaz? Pulling up what you think is a whopper halibut and having that pop up on your line." "Yeah," I said. "Hilarious. Maybe the tourist will sue." He laughed again. "Wish I'd been there," he said. "So, what's the tie-in? How'd they connect a 3-week corpse with the missing boat?" Last page. The charter boat deckhand found the name on the stock of the anchor, Rosie G. in black marker. "Lucky you," Marty said. "Good day for a drive, though." I tried again with the captain. "You're the only one open," Cadie said, no longer bothering to smile. "Take your damned gear with you and fish down there. Homer has a good run. Hell, they school up right at the harbor from what I've heard." "Thanks, Cap. Thanks a lot." "Chaz," he said as I turned to go, "this is top priority. That's one reason I gave it to you. This thing has gotten too much press already, so let's say we solve it and put an end to it as quietly as we can." "In one lousy day?" "Just go have a look. That's all I'm asking. Put in some overtime if you have to. The fish will still be there in a couple of days. I'll make it up to you." "You're a peach," I told him. "You don't deserve half the bad things they say about you." "Call me tonight," Cadie said. "Keep me in on this one all the way." By the time I pulled onto the Sterling Highway headed south, I had it set in my mind. I'd see the corpse, talk to the local troopers, fill out the reports, and get home by sunset. I could still be on the Kenai River by daybreak, if all went well. Sounded like a good plan to me. A few miles down the highway, I took the dirt road leading back to my cabin, loaded a suitcase, fixed a thermos of raspberry tea, and, almost as an afterthought, threw in 2 fly rods, some old clothes, and a box of trout fishing gear. On the way out, I dumped a bucket of collected rainwater onto the bed of fenced tomatoes, 6 scraggly 3-foot plants, the only green in the yard not indigenous to the Kenai, standing like prisoners inside their mouse-proof cell. I was back on the highway in 15 minutes. Patches of early morning fog hung over the roadway, like remnants of last night's dream. Slanting sunlight cut through the tops of drifting mists, the rays strobing through the scraggly alders and tall stands of spruce, flashing bright, then dark, making it hard to see. I stared through the fog patches, watching the roadsides ahead for wayward moose. To my right, over the bluff, across the shimmering miles of Cook Inlet, the sun glared brightly on the upper third of Redoubt Volcano. The shouldering peaks of the lesser Chigmits ran beside it, like teeth gleaming on a bleached-out jaw, raw and beautiful, like 1,000 other Alaskan coastlines. Hour and a half of this to Homer. Cadie knew what he was asking of me. He certainly knew this body could break the case wide open, and if it did, we both knew it would get messy. My job, apparently, was to man the dikes. When 4 healthy people disappear in Alaskan coastal waters, shopkeepers, politicians, and tourism agents start gnawing at their nails. Now that oil and fish prices squatted at rock-bottom levels, it's tourism that keeps the great state afloat. This case was a thorn pricking everybody. It had already had more than its share of coverage, most of it coming up from Seattle. Frank Milner's last known days, as well as those of his 3-man crew, had been documented, analyzed, and argued on the pages of a dozen newspapers in the lower 48. Here it received a 1-paragraph page 2 mention. Part of the problem was that Frank and his wife Junia had been public figures long before his disappearance. 10 months ago, one of those video news magazines had featured them as a salt-of-the-earth American working couple. The show reached 60 million viewers. The update came 6 months later after Junia was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. America's favorite husband and wife fishing team had been tragically forced to disband, leaving Frank to make it for them both on his own. Donations trickled in for Junia. Then the healthcare debates brought them forward again, their plight discussed for a while in short segments on the evening news. It touched a public nerve. Donations flowed in for Junia. Frank bought a bigger boat. He traded in his aging gillnetter, bought a fancy fat limit seiner and an Alaskan permit, hired a crew of 3, left Junia disabled in Seattle, and headed for the Aleutian Islands. Not a salt-of-the-earth move. The boat had last been heard from about halfway there, just the other side of Homer, somewhere off